Hi, I wanted to come on here today and talk a little bit about Jing and pregnancy. As you can see, I am expecting. I'm about 38 weeks and just kind of in that final stretch, waiting for this little dude to show up. And lately, which I know maybe I'm just attracting these kinds of questions right now, but I've been getting a lot of questions from practitioners, from people that are interested in trying Jing about whether or not Jing is safe for pregnant women and safe during breastfeeding. The short answer is yes, absolutely. Highly recommended, in fact. This is something that I've been using personally for myself this entire pregnancy. And that's not a very interesting or in-depth answer, so I thought that I would elaborate a little bit more and talk about why. So ultimately, the kidneys and the kidney chi and the kidney jing are the foundation for our genetics. They're the foundation for procreation, for reproduction, for our reproductive system. Jing, or essence specifically, is that kind of deep well from which we pull everything that needs to happen in the body, all of the biological things that need to take place, not only to create a human from your body, but to literally continue to be a human. All of that fuel is coming from Jing, or Jing is the fuel for all of those different biological processes that are happening to just continue to be alive. In Chinese medicine, of course, we talk about how the natural progression of aging is how quickly or how slowly we are using our Jing, how fast we're burning up that fuel, right? So we can either make it like this and really cultivate that kidney Jing and allow that Jing just to have this nice slow burn, living a very balanced lifestyle, adhering to the principles of Chinese medicine, trying to cultivate more Jing as we go through lifestyle practices like Qigong, through dietary practices, through herbal medicine practices, through mindfulness and meditation type practices. Those are all ways that we can not only nourish and generate Jing along the way, postnatal Jing, of course, but also ways that we can preserve the Jing that we do have so we're not burning it up too quick, right? And so when we have this really nice store of Jing, we feel vibrant, we're fertile, we have the capacity to function at a higher level. We have the cognitive function. Of course, cognition and brain function is all controlled by the kidneys as well. We have good bone density, we have endurance, we have good nervous system regulation. The nervous system is all part of the kidney Jing as well. And when that storage tank, if you will, for Jing or even kidney chi starts to dwindle a little bit, when we're burning the candle at both ends and we're not restoring those reserves as quickly as we're using them, then from more Western perspective, we start to enter into this kind of burnout state or maybe adrenal fatigue. You might hear functional medicine practitioners talk about it, or just kind of common language in the West. But what's happening from a Chinese medicine perspective is we're burning through our daily allowance of kidney chi. So just that energy that we've cultivated from the foods we've eaten, the sleep we've gotten, whatever lifestyle practices we keep, we have that daily chi bank. We've burned through it, but we're still going. We got stuff to do, right? Now we are starting to tap into that deeper reserve. And that's where we start pulling from that Jing. Jing is kind of this lifetime reserve of kidney fuel that one, we were born with, right? We receive a certain amount of prenatal Jing at conception from our parents, and that kind of sets the tone for our constitution, for our genetic makeup, what we've got to work with. And in a sense, it's kind of the imprint of who we will become, who we are. And then we have that to sort of use throughout the course of our lives. Once we start to tap into that, it's much more difficult to start to restore. Not impossible, right? We still can, but we can't restore prenatal Jing. We can restore postnatal Jing. And that's the type of Jing that you actually have control over cultivating after birth. So that's what I was talking about before. These Qigong practices, very specialized herbs, dietary practices, things like that that help to restore and slow the use of the Jing that we do have. That, of course, is what we're doing with JING Butter. JING Butter is a very palatable and potent way to introduce these specialized herbs and nutrients into the body that help to both slow the use of that Jing reserve tank and also rebuild some of the postnatal Jing that we've lost over the course of life. Stress, just exhaustion, burning the candle at both ends, and certainly long-term illnesses, things that are really taxing on the body. Pregnancy is one of those things. And for me, I've been using Jing daily as a way to just keep my reserves boosted. I came to pregnancy later in life. I just turned 40 this year. And so for me, this might be a very different experience 20 years ago. I don't know. This is my first pregnancy and I've been very healthy. I've been very uncomfortable, of course, but I think that comes with the territory, especially now that this guy is, I don't know, this big, size of a watermelon, if you will. But I have been very healthy and very mindful of how I use my energy. And I've been really trying to preserve my kidney Jing as best I can. And of course, Jing Butter has been a big part of that for me. I recommend for most women that we do a teaspoon of Jing once a day, just as maintenance. If you are particularly depleted or going through a particularly challenging time, perhaps if there's a lot of anemia going on, nutritional deficiencies, you can increase it to two teaspoons daily during pregnancy. This is true. I'd say 2 teaspoons during breastfeeding is a good reasonable dose because your body really needs a lot of these nutrients to be able to produce the supply that you need to feed your child. And a lot of the herbs that we're using are very mineral rich, and that is helping to not only fuel the kidneys on this level that we're talking about with Jing and Kidney Jing, but also just thinking about it from more of a biochemical perspective, these help to build blood. And so blood is just increasing in volume rapidly during pregnancy and helping to provide the body with the nutrients that allow that to happen more easily without taking so much and depleting so much from the mom. So just providing the body with that support during pregnancy is very helpful. During breastfeeding, same is true. One of the main ways that we support lactation and help with milk production during breastfeeding is by building blood supply. If there's any sort of blood deficiency, we're going to be fluid depleted, we're going to be dry. It's going to be much harder for the body to produce the lactation that it needs. And so Jing Butter not only has herbs in it that help to nourish the Kidney Jing and the Kidney Jing, but it also has a lot of herbs and nutrients that help to build up the blood. The other side of that, preconception, that Jing is very valuable to keep in mind for too. We often will have a lot of practitioners that work in more of a fertility specialty, and Jing is very useful when we're doing fertility treatments from a Chinese medicine perspective, because again, if the body has this huge reserve of Kidney Jing, that's the well from which we're pulling to go through all these reproductive processes that need to happen. A lot of energy is consumed and is needed for all of these processes to take place, and that comes from our Jing. So if we have someone who is trying to get pregnant and having a challenging time, oftentimes it's because their Jing is deficient, their Kidney Jing is deficient, their blood is deficient, their body is just under-resourced. And so this is a gentle and very palatable way to encourage our patients to build up their body's reserves and all of those vital substances. So that's just foundational. It's the first step. There may be other imbalances taking place that need to be addressed as well, but I would say just foundationally, building up those substances in the body is the first step to making sure that everything is resourced enough to actually not only be able to conceive, but to also maintain a healthy pregnancy throughout. Jing Butter plays a valuable role in that too. It's not always easy to get very medicinally potent foods down. Herbal medicine can have a pretty significantly pungent or acrid taste to it, and sometimes it's just a hard thing to get down, especially during pregnancy. So it can be really helpful to have something that tastes good, that you're not having to just sort of struggle through on a daily basis, because consistency is really the key with it, right? It can be valuable to occasionally take it for a little boost here and there. It will give you a little bit of an energy boost, But the real medicine, especially for these types of situations, is in consistent daily use. And for most people, it's hard to make yourself take something yucky every day. And as much as I love herbs, I am an herbalist. I live and breathe herbs through and through. I don't care when things taste bad. But that's not the case for most people, right? I have interacted with enough patients over the last 20 years to know that we need to infuse a little bit of pleasure into the medicine that we are providing, especially if it's more of a long-term process. It helps people to stay committed to the process and to just get the results that they're looking for. So JING Butter is that. It's helpful because it tastes good and because it delivers the medicine that's necessary to achieve the result that we're looking for. And in this case, we're talking about fertility, we're talking about a healthy, robust pregnancy, a healthy baby, and we're talking about a successful postpartum where mom is being restored and has those reserves not just being depleted over and over again as we are taking care of the baby. So Jing is not only helpful for building up that blood postpartum and just making sure that we're kind of restoring what was lost, but also, as I said, helpful for making sure that the body is resourced in the ways that it needs to be to breastfeed. Long and short of all of that is yes, Jing Butter is an incredibly useful thing during this time of life. I would highly recommend it. I recommend it to all my patients. I've been using this medicine myself and it has made this journey. I'm not going to say it hasn't been difficult, and I know there's many, many stages still to go at this point. Still got to get this baby out. But I do feel very confident knowing that I have these tools and, that with Chinese medicine, herbs, acupuncture, lifestyle practices, dietary practices, we have the tools here that we need to do these things successfully and healthfully and come out the other side so much better for it. This can be a really transformative time in life where people can actually heal in a lot of ways, and that's my goal here. And I think that Jing Butter is a valuable tool to assist in that, and I would strongly recommend it. So again, that's during pregnancy. Generally 1 teaspoon a day will do it. If you need to do 2 because you're going through a really tough time and your body is extremely depleted, that can be an appropriate dose. And postpartum, during breastfeeding time, I would say probably 2 teaspoons a day is a good place to start. Your body has increased demands, and that's all right, guys. Thanks for joining me.